Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for attending. I'll now try to entertain you for the next hour, talking about repairing these and other types of computers, old computers. You've probably seen this in the morning. This is an ZX Spectrum 48K. And, well, who am I? Well, to start, I'm a very old guy. So I've been doing hardware for the 40 plus years, and I also am part of the maker movement, a guy that doesn't have any toys from his childhood because I've taken everything apart, and I'm actually not an expert. Okay, so I do a lot of things, but I don't do them correctly most of the time. Also, as a day job, I do IT. So, this talk is divided in mostly 6 parts with one extra for questions. And I'll now present you with some facts. You probably know them by now, or you should. The ZX Spectrum was launched in April '82 by Sinclair Research. They have 2 variants at launch. For a very short time, they have only the 16K machine, and they also have the 48K machine. And for the next, I think, 2 years, they created additional models, one which is the Spectrum Plus, and the other one is a Spectrum 128K that you can actually see over there in the retro corner. So after a while, so 4 years later, Sinclair has decided to just sell the computer division to Amstrad because cash flow. They retained the rights for the name. But the computer division was sold to Amstrad, and Amstrad then grabbed the base model and expanded to the +2, +3, and other variants. And in total, for the Sinclair and the Amstrad units, they make about 5 million units. Remember, in 1980. So the Spectrum was well known in Europe. Also, there were some clones made in Brazil, if I'm not mistaken, and another set of clones in what was East Europe, so Poland and Czech Republic, and even Russia, if I'm not mistaken, because I haven't searched that far. So the computer that you probably see in the Tenet, the Timex Sinclair 2048, is mostly the same as this model. The 2068 had some differences, and later models also have some changes from this. As it was also told, this is an 8-bit home computer. It's a Z80, and at 3.5 megahertz. Actually, the clock is 4 megahertz, but the ULA stops the CPU from time to time to draw all the screen. So one of the major achievements of the ZX Spectrum was its 16K ROM that had basic all input and output functions. Also had a floating point software-based implementation. Then there's the thing that makes the Spectrum a Spectrum, which is the ULA. It's a simple PAL video generator. It generates video with core from RAM. It has no additional graphics processing. It's not like the Commodore 64 and the Amigas and the other machines. With a fairly low resolution of 256 by 192 in graphics mode. Text mode is 32 columns by 24 lines of text. 15 possible colors. The brightest colors are full saturation, so it's the most bright that you can have on a computer. And for audio, it has a beeper, so a 1-bit audio processor, which is anything. And all of this is done exclusively by the Z80. So the ULA makes a video, but that's it. So this is a photo of my first computer, which I got as a gift from a cousin that lived in the UK. He brought it home to Portugal, so in 1982 I have it. It still works fine. Funny enough, it's the least modified ZX Spectrum that I have. because I'll try to keep it as most original as possible. So, nowadays we talk about the discovery. What is this discovery? Well, you or anyone that you know has found an old ZX Spectrum somewhere, okay? Like the one you will see briefly. And that is, in fact, a piece of history. But please, if you want to preserve it further, do not power it up. Because, as you know, these devices have over than 40 years, and for sure, I think some of us in the room will agree it will have broken parts inside. And yeah, I know that for a fact. So, many will probably disagree with this description, this one-word description of the ZX Spectrum, that it is a cheap device. Well, it was designed to use the cheapest things that could be found and make a thing that worked, and they still managed to provide it and to sell it with a profit. So the upper RAM chips, the 32K, are actually defective 64K chips. They asked the management, the production factory, to mark them as high is okay, low is okay, and the chips they're supposed to be 4564, the original part. It gets relabeled to 4532L or 4532H, depending on which is the usable state. In production, they chose a batch of H chips and select a pin to say, okay, this unit has high okay, this unit has low okay, and that's how they managed to have a cheaper Spectrum, because at the time, I think this sold for about 170 pounds in 82. This translates almost to, it's a little bit over 450 pounds today. So it has what I call, and this is my personal opinion, a questionable power supply, which is a thing that I'm now removing from all the machines because it just doesn't work. It has also cheap components, and the PCB, well, the quality is, yeah, it's poor. It's not great. Not great. Just to try not to rush this too fast. Actually, what goes wrong inside a ZX Spectrum is pretty much everything. But the main thing that goes bad on the Spectrum are the capacitors. So I have here one of mine. This one, just taking a look, has one chip which is still original. One capacitor, sorry. Sorry, Genio. So we have only one capacitor which is original, all the others were changed. And also, this has an upgrade that I will talk later. But yeah, that's the first thing that fails. And the common failure for these capacitors are dried electrolytes, they leak, they get deformed, swollen, or even crack the case. And commonly, these problems are occurring in all manufacturers, but the shorted, so the tantalums or the MLCCs, they short over time, and if you power them up, they just explode. Okay, tantalums are very common on 286 and 386 mainboards. If you don't check for shorts, you power it up and it will explode. You can see that, search it on YouTube and you'll find lots of guys trying to repair machines with this. So, as some examples for the era, and the original Xbox is much, much later than the ZX Spectrum, but you can see here blown capacitors. This is not my factory, but I have an Xbox which had exactly this. I didn't take a picture. Another thing that's most common for the Macintosh Classics, the one that you can see on the far right of the retro corner, they have leaky capacitors. If you open something and if you smell fish-like scent, then for sure you have a leaky capacitor. Also, they tend to corrode, corrode traces, corrode pins. They go up wires. I've seen the most bizarre thing, which some capacitors like this one just have leaked. And there was a connector. The connector got corroded, and the wire halfway through was corroded inside. Because remember, liquid it gets the capillary action, and it goes into a wire. So don't trust any of these things. And also, the spectrum, it has dried up capacitors. So you can, for sure, take one out, measured with an LCR meter. It will say that, like a 22 capacitor, you'll measure like 15 or 31 or 28. But if you actually use it inside a place where it needs to keep the voltage stable, it doesn't do anything. So it's having them or removing them is pretty much the same thing. So this is the point that I'm going to make some points to the thing. So this is what I call the questionable power supply. Some may disagree. Okay, I'm not dissing them up because it's 1980s technology. So pretty good for the time, but nowadays we shouldn't be using this. So power comes from the power brick here as a coil. This has a circuit that gets also from 5 volts some capacitors. I can't remember the exact word. So this capacitor and this resistance makes this trigger on and off. And here you have what they call 12 volt AC, which is not AC, it's pulsed with some frequency, I don't know exactly what. And they get 12 volt for memory, 12 volt for video. For all of these voltages, what is most important is this one. If you don't want to use the 16K lower RAM chips, if you want to replace them, you can take out some of the circuits and it will remain working. But the main issue, at least for me, is this minus 5 volts. The unit that I'm trying to repair, that I hoped that I would manage to fully repair the machine to present here. In the minus 5, it has like minus 3, and with a lot of ripple, even after changing all the capacitors. So either I have even more defective chips, which I doubt because I've tested them, and I will talk about this a little bit later, but usually that's the thing. So, sorry, going back. So this minus 5, it has a 2.2K resistor, which is a pretty high value, so not much current passes through. If someone happens, if the chips start to consume a lot, then the voltage will fluctuate and go low. So if any of these two capacitors and also where's the other one? This one, if they dry up, you potentially could have something like 15 volts with luck in the minus 15 instead of minus 5. And that will fry the chips. Okay? Again, ask me how I know. When doing the repair, there is a lot of things that I could not, I didn't find the actual time to pass all the things that can go wrong. Okay? But mainly, my friend George Alves, hi George, provided this unit. So someone found it at home. It still has the plastic thing that you take when things are new. You just take it out. This still has it, and I will preserve it as is, because I'm not keeping the machine. I'm just trying to repair it. Everything was mostly original, has all the cables, which I only saw in 1982. All the machines I saw after 1982, they didn't have all the cables, all the manuals, all the stickers, the warranty card, it has everything. So this machine, the first thing I do is take out the 7805 voltage regulator, because it's the thing that keeps the spectrum warm, and we don't need it. So I took it out. And when I took it out, I saw this. So I don't know why, but someone installed a paper sticker here. And good for the era, no thermal paste existed. So it was metal on PCB. Yeah. It was the 80s. Ooh. Anyway, this would not made a good thermal conductivity. The next thing that I do, because none of our current devices have RF, or we don't care. So what I do is I just disable the modulator. So again, I'll take this, this is the power input. I just take the wire out and leave it there, and take the video in, and I just connect a wire from the video directly to the RCA center pin. I don't install a capacitor, okay? But that's me. Other guys they probably want to install a 100 microfarad capacitor. I don't, because it gives brighter picture. And yeah, and I know the other side of the TV or whatever you're plugging into will have capacitors, so why double the effort? So this is one thing that will provide a better picture in the end. So the first thing that you do when you open the machine, or if you're trying to do it, it's a thing. You open the machine and you first do a visual and a smell inspection. Not that the spectrum burns things. Usually they burn things when you solder wires incorrectly. Again, ask me how I know. And it shouldn't smell anything. Not burn, not fishy, not nothing. So you just check which is the issue number, which is the board revision, and order a capacitor kit online. Or if you can go to any electronics supplier and just buy a capacitor kit, or buy the capacitors themselves. This is not very expensive. Then again, you measure resistances and shorts on power rails, so the plus 12, minus 5, plus 5, you measure everything, measure all the transistors, measure all the diodes. Again, most of these components, you'll probably want to remove them from the board to be measured correctly, especially the ones in the questionable power supply. But again, it will leave you with the information of these 8 chips here are the lower end chips, so the problematic ones. I think someone in the audience will agree with me. These are the ones that require 3 voltages. The Amstrad variant didn't have any. The new Timex also doesn't have this type of memory. It has, I think, 64K directly. I don't know exactly. I don't know those models that well. But again, just measure around. These are the exterior pins. Change all the capacitors. Then take a deep breath and power it up. And sometimes when you power it up, you should also, if you are serious about repairing, you should get one of these cards. There are many variants. This is the dia card that Ben Versteeg in Byte Delight, he sells this. Fully assembled or in kit. I ordered it as a kit, and then I chose the LED colors because I'm not crazy. I don't use blue LEDs anywhere. And this has a diagnostic ROM. You can flash it with various types of diagnostic software. And the first time you power up, you should take a look of these 4 LEDs which have the voltages. If one of these LEDs doesn't light up, unplug it immediately, okay? Because it's much faster to insert this card, power on, and look at the LEDs than to measure individually. So it's one of the things. This is not that expensive if you're trying to save something that has 40 years. Okay? I don't know exactly how much it costs now, also because I bought it as a kit, but this is a must-have tool. And yeah, this is one of the screens. I took a picture on my small LCD screen. And this unit, which is not this one, the machine is at home, at the lower minus 5 volts. And also, fun thing, this diagnostic ROM produces these 8 color bars. This tells me that bit 2 and bit 5, no? bit 2 and bit 5 are probably defective. Okay, because the red one, I don't know exactly which order it counts from 0 to 5, but it doesn't matter. It shows that something is wrong. Also, all of the image is garbled. This is supposed to be the keyboard test screen, because you can see here the keys. But machine was not good. And the first thing I thought is, well, I have lower RAM. I have some problem on the lower RAM. Also, the minus 5 volts was suspicious. I think I injected, at the time, minus 5 in the circuit, but removing one of the components. And the result was the same, so it wasn't that. Again, this is part of the things that I do. So this is a photo of the unit that I have, that I'm trying to repair. So I remove all the chips, all the 16K, and tested them one by one on one of my other spectrums. And to my amazement, it was everything okay. So it wasn't the RAM. Then I didn't take pictures after this, but then I removed the CPU, tested the CPU in another spectrum. Everything is okay. Well, the ULA is on a socket. Let's change the ULA. ULA on the socket is fine. So the last thing that I wanted to remove was the ROM. This is the first time in 30-something years that I've seen a broken ROM. So the ROM inserted on another machine, the machine just, and even the dia card didn't work on another machine. And yes, I took note of the correct pins for the ROM, because the ROM also has jumpers to select. If this is the jumpers that select the ROM type, and those jumpers up there select the manufacturer, so TI or Oki, and also the high or low that I talked about previously. And so on this machine, the only thing that I cannot test, because I don't have any Model 5 or Model 6 machines, is the PCF 1306, which is the chip that I think is faulty, also faulty on this machine. So I'm trying now to assemble or to buy a replacement chip, because the PCF, the only thing that PCF does is replacing 6 chips. So if you take a look, these 6 chips that are between the CPU and ULA get replaced with a 40-pin chip. The chip has nothing, well, 40-pin and it has nothing else. It's just, that's replaced 6 by 1. But unfortunately, while you can still buy those 6 chips, even in SMD format, as you see here, you cannot buy the PCF. It was made during a very short time period, and people have reverse engineering since what it does, and this is why the repair that I was using as a basis for this talk is now on hold. So I'm trying to find a replacement. I tried to produce it, but it wouldn't arrive on time for Inércia, and I'll just kept on speaking the thing. Okay, so it's going faster than I wanted, but yeah, that's it. Yep. So, unpopular opinion, pretty much all chips fail on the ZX Spectrum. Okay, it's it's a thing. For my experience, I've had issues with lower RAM and issues with the ULA. I didn't throw away any of my ULAs, but I do have 2. They produce image just fine. They are just deaf. You cannot load games from tape. So I think I know why. Okay, again, tinkering with cassette players and amplifiers to perfect the sound and injecting 12 volts. Yeah, it's not good. In any case, remember, these devices have 40 years. So, and they were cheaply made and yeah, and some other factors. Again, this is one thing that is often not talked enough, which is the infamous power break. Okay? So what this is? This is a very simple thing. An unregulated power supply. So it produces 10-ish AC volts. It has a bridge rectifier, has a capacitor, and then some voltage gets sent to the spectrum. And when I say some voltage, well, if you power this break up and measure the voltage in DC, you'll measure something about 14 to 15 volts. And if you plug it on the spectrum, it will drop to 9 to 11. It depends a lot. So it YOLOs just some voltage to the spectrum, and then the questionable power supply in the 7805 will exchange voltage drops by heat, and it will make things work. Funny enough, I've tested the capacitor on the circuit and off the circuit, and capacitor is fine. Yeah, I was surprised also to do this, to see this. So, assuming that you want to keep the machine in its state and you don't want to just use emulation, you can still get some replacement parts. They are not cheap. This one in particular comes from far away, comes from the other side of the planet, from New Zealand. I think there are other replacements, but this is the one that is highly considered, even because you can have, they do have a model that has the VLA82, it has RGB output, and also has the AY sound chip emulation in FPGA. So I think this will cost us, if you want to buy it now, about 80 to 90 euro with shipping. But then I don't know if customs will ask for a tithe or not. I don't know. So this is the only link that I have in this. So but you can check it from VLA2 and you'll find it. Also, this is upright, but there's a module that you can still buy, not from this supply because it no longer sells it, but you take all the 8 chips out and insert this module or remove all the sockets and solder this directly. This has a static RAM chip instead of dynamic RAM chip, so no need to deal with the CAS and the RAS signals. Then the upper RAM module, actually this is one of them. I don't know who made it because I made this a while ago. So this is the same thing, 32K for the upper RAM and some buffer logic or some switching logic so that you can have it working. This model, I remember vaguely that the problem was not actually, problem wasn't in the, it wasn't on the chips, but someone tried to repair it. And yeah, there are some patches that I have to do because the guy told me, no, I took all the pins that I wanted and I yanked it with a screwdriver. Okay, so one of the possibilities you have is buy a module and deal with the other pins that are not connected, which is what I did. And well, the ROM can be replaced with an EEPROM. It requires some simple wires. It's not hard because the ROMs don't need to be written to and only have one pin to select. The original chips have 2 pins. So again, you have to, I'm just going back a little bit just so that I can show you. There's a place where you can, sorry, one further. So down here, where you have these 2 pins to select the ROM type, this is where you connect those diodes and the resistor and then a wire and the other wire behind the EEPROM. So it's a simple circuit modification, but nothing to be afraid. If you are taking your time to try to repair the machine, you can do this change as well. So it's not hard. And again, at last, the Z80 CPU has ceased production this year in July, if I'm not mistaken. But again, it's this form factor Z80. You can still buy Z80s with additional peripherals on a different package, I think. I think it's PLCC or even SMD. And but the guys from China, they have been making clones of this for a while, and they will continue to produce them. So that's not a problem. Again, how can you make it work even better after a while? So the first thing that you should do is get rid of the 7805, okay, completely. This is an example of a Traco 5-volt regulator. This is a very small switching power supply. It's a bit expensive, but if you don't know what you're doing, or if you know some stuff, you should get this module because it's really just plug and play, or search on AliExpress, but don't buy the cheapest ones. Okay, you see some costing €1.5, some costing €2 with a different board design. Choose the €2 because it will be probably fine. This will solve one of the main issues of the Spectrum, which is producing heat. My personal unit had an in-sync for a lot of time, and that made all the capacitors dry out because of all the heat back then. So now I had to change the capacitors as well, but in any case, this is one of the things. So yeah, this has been a novelty for some of you. When I talk USB-C, I talk USB-C power delivery. So a brick like this, which is not a regular brick. This does a ton of voltages, has a lot of letters with all the voltage and current that it can provide. And the secret about USB power delivery, that you can buy a very cheap module. It costs, I think, €1.5, if I'm not mistaken, which is this very small board that you have here. And it has a jumper when you select which voltage you want to have. So in this board, I selected 12 volt. So this chip is providing 12 volt for the 12 volt rail. And the green chip is 2 switching power supplies that provide +5 and -5. And so this doesn't heat at all. It still works. The only issue that I found, because there's issues, is that you need to increase the capacity of the reset capacitor. Usually it's 1 microfarad. You should increase it to 10 microfarad because the voltages, they don't show up at the same time. And if you don't increase the reset time, when the CPU wakes up, the memory is still trying to decide what to do. So that's the only thing that I do. But other than that, works fine. Also, I remove all the components from the power supply that I actually don't need. So everything is off. Only these 2 modules. So I have plans, if I have some help from someone in the audience, to design a board that you can remove all chips and all components that are here. There will probably be 3 to 4 modules, because the footprint isn't the same. So you remove all the components, install the board, solder at least 4 places or 5, it depends, and you will have a future-proof machine. Also, I will add a reset button right next to the USB power delivery. And the main reason is that when you install this, I don't know, people at home probably won't be able to see, but when you put it on the case, the USB-C power delivery is very low. So you have room to have something just to stick a finger and press reset, okay? Because this is one of the things that these machines need. Also, not on the slides, get a div IDE or a div MMC or any other type to load games fast. Um, I know this 256 megabyte compact flash FARD doesn't hold all the spectrum of the games there is, but yeah, get a 512 or 1 gig and it will work. This is also a very cool project from a guy in Poland, if I'm not mistaken. Poland or Czech Republic, I can't remember right now. And also it runs ESX DOS, so this is thing made by a Portuguese, as far as I can remember. Ooh, it's on the audience. Yeah. Hi, thanks. Thanks for this. Yeah, so tools that I use, everything with LED, okay? The LED-free solder does not belong on the Spectrum, okay? It belongs on other machines, not on the Spectrum. Please, have some respect. When the Spectrum came out, we still used leaded gasoline, so yeah, keep it real. So, basic things, multimeter, soldering iron, leather solder, desoldering tool, solder braid, wire cutters, tweezers, magnifying lens because, yeah, again, old people, old guy, and the diagnostic card or diagnostic card from the cartridges. And yeah, there is a lot of things. I'm not putting links on here because it will be extremely long, but when I release the PDF on my website along with the article that I will write, I will put all of these links, the resources that I need, that I want to share with you. So these Jasper Column repair videos are one of the best ones because a guy has a playlist with 10 or 15, I think, 10 or 15 videos, and it takes extreme care and saying, okay, go slow, change the capacitors, measure voltages. Very, very comprehensive and one of the best resources that I have. And I found this fairly recent, I think it was last year. Also important, the Retrolium website, which has components and other upgrades that you can have. Buy the Light Web Shop. Guy sells a lot of things for the Spectrum. And yeah, if you want to get more questionable parts, just get them from AliExpress. Not the cheapest ones, but the ones next. And I think, yeah, that was it. So if you have any questions, there's a microphone up front. Ask me anything. Thank you. Also, if you want to see it connected, I will probably connect it for a while in the retro corner so that you can see a USB-C power delivery Spectrum. Okay, no questions? No? No one has a question? Okay, thanks a lot. See you around.